Welcome everybody to Check Your Game, our mentoring program initiated by Pro Helvetia and realized by the SGDA. We have met already last week on the 10th of January, where we started officially with a check-in call, this program. And now, today, Florin, you may switch already a slide. Today we meet for our very first webinar, which has a very important topic, pitching your game. And we have with us Florin as a speaker. Florin, has great experience in this kind of exercise, and he also had great success with his pitches. So we are very happy to have you here today and to share your experience, your knowledge about this important topic. And I know you prepared quite a few slides, and before talking too much about what you can do and so on, we should go straight into the topic, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much for being here, and great entertainment for our mentees. Please.
Thanks a lot, Michel. Thanks for having me. I prepared quite a few slides because I want this to be the best ever pitch training. And I will speak about my experience, my learnings, and what I think is most important for you. So title is Pitching Your Game, How to Succeed. And my goal for you is that every one of you has a perfect pitch ready, at least the skeleton. Speaking about what's most important, we will build a skeleton first, and that this is very crystal clear, sharp, on point, convincing for yourself and also for the others you want to talk your game to. So if there is some blue sentences, that means that's an exercise. So there will be some exercises. No worries, there is not like that everyone needs to pitch on stage, but you will get your brain to work. And so you can either get a paper or open a second tab and open Google Slides or something like this. So let's start. Today, first, why pitching, then just a little agenda, the power of mindset. I want to start with some mindset trainings first, and that you get with the right mindset into pitching, because you can do a lot wrong there. Know your audience, some very as detailed as possible bullet points. What is the difference between a publisher and an investor, so that you know who you pitch to. Crafting your pitch, this will be the biggest part, where we build your pitch deck. And then if that's done, some pro tips depending on how much time we still have. So if we still have time for the pro tips, then after that you know everything about pitching, and you're ready, very ready to go. And Q&A. So about me, quickly, I previously raised, we raised 7 figures in venture capital with my first startup, Struct, which we sold to a US tech company a while ago. And during the journey, I held hundreds of pitches and presentations. I actually love doing it, also in front of bigger audiences. A lot of mentors trained me how to pitch, so I have quite a mixed knowledge about it. And now I'm building new startup, and I'm an angel investor sometimes in gaming startups. And yes, I will also need to pitch again and raise more funds, what I'm currently doing. So why pitching? Does anyone have an idea why we should pitch? You're muted.
I mean, to get your project or game or whatever it is you're doing out there and let people know what you are doing.
Yes, very good. Is there another reason?
It can also help you to structure your thoughts too, because explaining something to someone is very different than just thinking about it for yourself.
Yes, that's a very intelligent and absolutely true. And it's the first point I wanted to get through. If you pitch to yourself, or if you build a pitch deck, you learn so much about what you do, and you are forced to formulate it, to sort out, to questions will arise. If you look at your own pitch deck and you don't get it, questions will arise, and you know exactly which questions to track for your business. And you could test it with test people, of course, but you do it for yourself. And the other reason is also what you said. In a second step, if you're ready, that you pitch to other people. And here the reason is, you can call it sales, you can call it get your voice out, let people know what you do. In the end, you want to collaborate with people in any way. If it's raising monies or getting employees, you pitch to collaborate to other people. So let me go through some mindset things. So this is from my own learning, and I think a lot of other pitch trainers or whatsoever don't cover that, but it goes a bit deeper. And it's also like what I learned psychologically, what works and what doesn't. First of all, the publishers and the investors, they don't know everything either. And no one knows if a game is going to be successful or not. Of course, you can reverse engineer success. The more knowledge you have in the industry, the better you improve your odds. But what publishers, investors have is opinions. And you never build the game for the publishers or investors. You don't optimize the business for them, but only for the players, because in the end, only the players will be your customers. That's very important. Secondly, yes, if you go to conferences or anything, there are time wasters out there. You don't know it immediately, but there are some people who want to fill their CRMs for their bosses and say, I have met so many game developers, or there are investors which don't have money but want to talk to people anyways. That's like time waste. So you don't have time for that, but they exist.
Florin, may I just ask you something? When
Yes.
you have abbreviations, can you maybe shortly explain them? Not sure, so that we are just making sure that everybody knows about these abbreviations you're using. Thank you.
Yes, sure. By the way, if you have any questions like Michel, just directly integrate them and interrupt me. A CRM is a customer relation management tool. It can be an Excel sheet or any tool like Salesforce, where you, as a salesperson or a business developer, track how many people you meet, what's the progress with them, who do I need to follow up next. And it oftentimes looks good if your CRM is big and you have met many contacts during a conference. But that's not the same as like getting something specific out of the conference. In the end, I mean, you also have your CRM when you meet publishers and investors, but in the end, you need to meet one publisher, which is the right one. And just meeting as many people as possible is good for the screening, but it's not the end goal. So, and then in general, there is enough capital out there. There are enough publishers. There are so many publishers like sand in the ocean. And they also need to differentiate themselves from other publishers and investors. And you hear the question a lot, how is your game different to the other games? But ask them, how is your publishing services different than the other publishers? Some publishers don't get that, but it's important to remember that they also have competition. Then your goal is not to get a yes or a follow-up or get them curious. That's, I would say, a needy mindset, because it's attached to the outcome. It's not about convincing people, standing out, or be salesy. I tell you why. In general, the more you focus on building your game or a good company, the better you're positioned. If you spend all your time just pitching, then you will end up with nothing but pitching, and it won't make you successful. So the best FOMO driver is having a good company and invest as much as you can in that. So should we pitch at all? That's the question. Yes, but detach yourself from yes, no, oh, they are interested, oh, I impressed them, oh, I didn't impress them. Your job is to make a finding, I would call it. Like, you need to find out, do you want with them, work with them, yes or no? Can you actually help them? Is your game what they are looking for? Can they help you? Do they have the services that I want? Is it a match? Like dating, is it a match? If you can answer that question, then you're doing a great job. So a great pitch, a successful meeting is if you leave the meeting and both parties have all the information required in order to make a decision if they want to collaborate. And it doesn't depend if it's a yes or no. You've made a good job if that's the outcome. So, and then the online presence is the first thing where the pitch starts. So you have an online presence, LinkedIn profile, whatever they have. There is a lot of screening is happening there. So what you can do is research the partners who want to meet, research deeply before you really meet them, and prepare questions that you need to have answered to do your findings. So-called screening questions. So it doesn't make sense to ask them what their favorite game is, but like things, what do you do? What do you want to talk about? What is your motivation? How many games do you publish? Are you actively investing? How big is your fund? And these things. So you're doing your screening, you're working on getting your findings and the answers you need. And also you put yourself in a driver's seat, and that makes you also look strong. And that's very important. And then finally, if you do this screening properly, you will also say no many times, because the publisher or investor is not a fit for you. You will lose contacts. It might upset them that you're in the driver's seat. All that happens. But that's fine. You will lose many contacts, but that's the goal of it, because your job is to sort out. And from 100 investors or publishers you have on your list, you maybe meet 10 or 15 and have 3 to 5 worthy conversations. And it's a good thing that it gets so narrow, because these are the ones that will make you successful in the end. So then, know your audience. Are there any questions until this point? Because that was the first part. Great. So some basic information about people you will always be pitching to. So if you talk to people, basically you always pitch. As mentioned, you can also pitch to team members. You need to get them interested in working with you. If you hire employees, you need to pitch your company. You need to pitch your company to gamers. Why should they play your game? It's a different pitch. There are many different pitches you can do, but today let's focus on the business pitch. And by that, I mean getting you to find investors or publishers. So either investor or publisher, that's the business pitch. So I don't know if you already know the difference or how exactly publisher and investor behave, but let me summarize. A publisher here in this example, Miniclip, they oftentimes look like game developers, because if you start a game and then there is the logo of the developer and the next logo that pops up on the splash screen is the publisher logo, they look like developers because oftentimes they are also developers and publishers. They come from game production and the gaming industry. Miniclip is an example. What they do is they market your game. Sometimes they finance your game, not always, but sometimes. In general, always they they want to do the marketing for your game. But for your game, very specifically, if you have one game, that's one, I would say, project, and they're going to support that one project initially. So the investment or collaboration time is short to mid-term, 1 to 3 years, focused on that one game project. They get a revenue split usually. So if you make a lot of revenue, they get a percentage of that revenue. And they don't own your IP. And if they want your IP, then I don't recommend that. Make sure they don't own your IP. That's actually an ideal publisher deal, that they don't know your IP. So IP, Michel, that's the short form for intellectual property. It's like the value that you build for your company. The creative IP is like the characters, the universe, the brand name, that which is the value of the game. Publishers are good to publish PC games with. I don't have a lot of experience with that, to be honest, because I focus on mobile games. But PC is more of a who knows who business. Like if you know the right press people, if you know the right distribution partners, then you can publish your game. It's less data-driven, and it's not recommended for mobile games, in my opinion, because mobile gaming is very data-driven, and you can easily market a mobile game yourself. Just run a few Facebook ads and you get the data and you can scale it if it's successful. So not recommended for mobile games. And then there is the investor. They invest long-term, 5 to 10 years. They are called business angels or strategic investors or VCs, venture capitalists. Oftentimes they have these capital partners in their names, for example, Hero Capital. They invest in your company, not in the game, but in your company. And the company is a legal entity which builds even several games, so one game after the other, or a tech product like a platform or infrastructure, but they get a percentage of the company and therefore co-own the IP, because the IP is property of your company. Yeah, exactly. And the good thing is, if you want to build something really big, like moonshot ideas or ideas which take a lot of risk, or massively big games or several games, then they are good to dilute your risk. And they love the risk. It's their job to fund risky things. They have a picture of the future, like in 10 years, blah, 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 will be very big. So their job is to invest in the future. And it's not recommended for single games. So it's now...
Sorry.
Yes?
I'm not so familiar with the term moonshot.
Moonshot is like... if you want to do the moon landing, it's a very big project. You don't know if it's going to work out or not. It's like a very, very bold hypothesis of the future, and something very bold and unclear if it's going to work out or not. Moonshot is like a very big idea, which involves a lot of risk, but also the reward would be very, very good if you achieve to build that.
Okay, thanks.
So now you can ask yourself if you want to work with a publisher or an investor, just for yourself, maybe 10, 20 seconds. Okay, we will come to that later. Any questions? Should we go into crafting the pitch?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I'm curious what kind of idea or how big the risk would be if you actually wanted to get an investor on board. Like what is an example of that? Like I want to create a company that's like 25 people big and create the next GTA or something like that, or like a GTA clone.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you mean compared to the publisher thing?
Yeah, because that's kind of tangible,
Yeah.
right? I want to create a game and I need a publisher and we like share the revenue, right? That's
Yes.
tangible to me, but the other one is not really clear what the scale is, you know?
Yes. So if you want to build a GTA, for example, you can either do it with a publisher, and then it's just that the deal terms are that you sign a deal with the publisher, that you share a revenue split, they finance you maybe, but it's your own company and they're not involved in your company. So that's like the deal structure. And if an investor invests in a company, you can just build one game and then set up a company for that and have an investor for that. But like the background story is they want to be involved longer term. So usually a game is not successful over 10 years, so 5 years, but maybe a year or two. So usually investors want you to either build one game after the other. Maybe you have a franchise, you build a GTA, and then you have GTA 1, a GTA 2, 3, 4. And this is like a company that accumulates its IP, the GTA IP, and builds a universe and then different products, GTA 1, 2, 3, maybe a GTA movie or something like this. Usually you see it also with tech companies like gaming platforms like Discord. That's a platform. It's not a game where you share revenue. You build a Discord, and this is a ecosystem that grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and then investors love that kind of thinking.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Then let's craft a pitch. I came to the conclusion that there are like 3 most important slides, I would say: problem solution, traction, and team, just to make it simple. And we're going to start with the most important one. If your pitch deck would only have 1 slide, that would be the backbone of your skeleton of your pitch. And we're going to put some thoughts into that. I think it's very important. Are you ready? Yes. The problem, solution, and opportunity. So with 1 sentence, can you convince anyone that this is a good business opportunity? And the goal should be that they think, wow, this looks like something people really want. And it's a bit tricky sometimes with games, because in the investment world, you have a problem, there is a problem and you have a solution. I would say in gaming, it's the same. Even games are entertainment products. They always solve a problem or satisfy a demand, which is solving a problem. And that's the business mindset. Some people start with building their games because they just want to do that, and you might be at this position. I also love games, I love building, but you need to flip it into a business pitch. And also, in my opinion, and I'm really convinced about it, the USP and the twist is not enough, because think about it, just being different doesn't mean you're better or doesn't mean you solve a problem. It needs to go deeper. And also, it's not about avoiding markets where there are not a lot of competitors. Don't be scared about building a huge game. It doesn't matter, because the only thing that matters is finding demand that is not satisfied yet. That you can find that in large markets or in niche markets. So there are 3 approaches how to nail that first slide. I will show you the 3 approaches, and then you're going to pick one, experiment with your own pitch, build sentences, and I think that will be very valuable. So the 3 approaches is: if you have a cool game and you started your game maybe because you wanted to do that, you need to flip it into a business pitch. And the way you do that is you attach a target audience to that. It's very simple, but it needs to be done. So you can't just say, we build a World War II game, a new World War II game. That's not a pitch. That the pitch would be, we build strategy games for World War II fans. Then you have created a target audience, and you can declare that this target audience have not enough games yet to satisfy their demands. So I hope you can see it, although the font is a bit smaller here, but this is an example how it can look on a pitch with that approach. So for example, we build games for women because female people are the biggest gaming audience, but games for women are underrepresented. So you attach this target audience to what you do. Or you build games for the MENA market because it's the biggest, the fastest growing market. Or you show
MENA?
how. Yes, sorry.
What is MENA?
MENA is the Middle East and North Africa markets. So like a demographic target audience. Or you give evidence on your pitch and target audience by pointing out other games, like how much revenue similar games make, and then you add your twist and you say you're building something similar like these games. They are very successful, but we add a twist so that the audience gets extended with something. For example, idle games are super popular, but they are not social, so we build social idle games. It can be a genre mix, and you combine like the best of two worlds, and this can be a pitch. Any questions? So we go to the second approach. The second approach is you can back up your opportunity by directly finding and pointing out a mentioned problem and providing a solution. So this is very straightforward. For example, you can do a Google research and research biggest problems in, and then any industry, biggest problem in esports, biggest problem for merge games. And then there are press articles saying that blah, 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 industry is broken, blah, blah, blah. And this is good evidence. If you put that on a pitch deck, you can come and say, and we fix it, and we built a solution. So very straightforward. Or if you have customer testimonials, I wish there was, someone said, I wish there was a perfectly realistic castle game. Build a castle simulator. I wish League of Legends was not so toxic. We build a non-toxic MOBA. So you identify problem and you solve it. That's the second approach. And the third one is, and I really love that, and also investors love it, is the disruption effect. If you build something that comes along with a mega trend, and people usually, even customers usually don't say that they have a problem, or even say they don't want your solution, because it's going to disrupt them. They're going to lose their jobs and stuff like that. So a good example would be, it's a very famous quote from Henry Ford. If he asked what people wanted, they would have said faster horses. And he didn't build faster horses, but he built cars. So people lost their jobs driving horses. But it's such a big movement that's happening, such a technology shift that's happening in the world. You can't stop it. A very good example right now is the AI. For example, that the AI creates concept arts faster, better, cheaper than any person. And that's a disruption effect. If you have something like this, that's a very powerful pitch, a very bold hypothesis. And maybe Leia, that could be like a pitch for a moonshot idea. For example, user-generated content will disrupt the traditional way games are being created, published, and played. Or new developments in AI will enable players to just, with a click of a button, find a virtual friend to play a game together with. This sentence alone could raise more than $1 million with a PowerPoint presentation in the current market environment. So you get the meaning of these concepts. Or in 10 years, everyone will use AR glasses, and we built the first AI, not AI, AR games. So that's the third approach. And there are many examples now on those slides. And I would love you to put your thoughts into your own pitch, because that's the most crucial sentence you're going to formulate. And there is not a right or wrong. Any of those three approaches can work for you. Maybe you have great one-line sentences for all the approaches, but it's good to put a thought in it, and then I think we can discuss it. Can brainstorm a bit with those approaches, try out different things, and ask yourself the question: what is the demand? What is the problem I'm solving? How can I present that as a business opportunity, and not just saying why the game is different?
Can you show the second approach again?
Yes, I can slide through these approaches anytime you want. Maybe I should have done one slide with all the approach. So the first one is you attach a target audience to your game. The second one is you have identified straightforward a problem and you say you fix it. And the third one is you build something disruptive that is backed with long-term tech trends and technology shifts. I can switch around here a bit if you want, but maybe 2-3 minutes you can think about your own examples, or 5 minutes. Does anyone want to propose an idea of what you got here from the thinking?
You need to press on the microphone to unmute.
Yes.
I'd need some more time. I'm like not there.
No problem.
I'm sorry.
No problem. You end up having basically one sentence, so it's not something huge. It's just very crystallized.
And I think if you don't have a perfect sentence yet, it's not such a problem, because Florian is here and he will then help to make it perfect. So you just can give it a try, maybe.
I tried 2 different approaches. First one is story games are often very text and dialogue heavy. With my game, I allow players to get through the story without any of these. And the other one is more about the genre, which is horror games are mostly depicted in a very realistic art style. I bring unique hand-drawn visuals in this genre, making it less intimidating.
So what was the first one? The first one was that started very good, like as story games usually are. What was that?
Very text and dialogue heavy.
Yes, that's. I mean, I guess you can like get a lot of quotes or customer voices backing that up. I think that's good. That's cool. And then the second part of the sentence was, it should be your solution then.
With my game, I allow players to get through the story without any of these. Yeah.
Yes, or we build. What would it be if not text heavy? If text heavy is a problem? What's the opposite? More visual or more text heavy sounds very not so emotional, maybe. So text story driven games are usually very text heavy, and we build story games. We build emotional and visually driven story games, appealing
Visually
to
driven.
larger audiences or something like this.
Yeah. Because
it could be that yeah, regarding your second sentence, that by doing that you're opening up new potential audiences, and then you're back at the target audience, because reading is it's, how should you say, it's
discouraging.
It's an exercise. It's
Yeah.
hard work. It's hard work. By making story games less text heavy, you're opening up an audience by quite a lot. And then you can put some statistics. How big is the story-driven games audience? How big is it already? So you show it's popular, and then your hypothesis can be, we estimate to open up that audience by 5x, 10x by removing text and integrating more visuals, something like this. And the publisher, oh, cool, how would that work? And then they go to the next slide. Well, how does that work?
Okay.
Something like this. Yeah, that could work.
Great. Thanks for the feedback.
Cool. One more other idea from anyone? Now is your chance to have it challenged. We can also move forward. Now is your final call. Yes.
Yeah, okay, sure. Let's go. But the problem is I would have to do way more research into like other games in
Of
my
course, yes,
area
yes.
to even know if this is like a standout thing. But my sentence is the first approach. I build a fantasy roguelike game set in antiquity instead of the Middle Ages.
Okay, and why?
Yeah, that's a question. Because in my opinion, there's like not a lot of games that dive into like mythology, pantheons of gods, folklore, like these kind of things. Huge
Why,
empires, structures. I don't know.
why are there not many games? Because people don't want them, or why?
I don't know.
It can be a huge thing. What you do now is you say what you do basically, and you're even saying, in my opinion. So everything is a hypothesis. You never know until you build the game. But if you back up your hypothesis by target audience, I think that's the missing element. So you say what you do. I mean, it's okay. At some point, you need to say what you do. You build. What was the game? What genre?
Fantasy roguelike.
Fantasy roguelike. Okay. And the setting is different.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, as mentioned, being different is not yet a benefit. So, but you can turn it this way. You build that. What was the genre? I forgot it.
A roguelike game.
Sorry, a roguelike game, and roguelike games are extremely popular. And if you see at what is a popular, maybe you quote one very popular one, or roguelike games in average make XXX revenue and a lot. And then you extend the audience by, so your target audience is, we built a roguelike game for, and then is your setting lovers, for fantasy lovers. Because we want to extend that audience, at the target audience, the roguelike lovers don't have fantasy games. And there is a certain audience which like roguelikes and fantasy setting, and you combine that. So you create a new audience and you can satisfy a demand of a whole new audience. So just link it to a target audience and you're done. It's actually very simple. I over-engineered it a bit now, but you say what you build and then you link a target audience to that. That's already good. If you back it up with the data that you mentioned you will do a research on, then that's already fine.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Okay, let's go further. Cool. Time flies. So what we do now is we do the other two slides. They are shorter, much so shorter. But then you have a perfect skeleton of a pitch deck. And then let's see what else we're going to cover. So the next slide is, as mentioned to Leah, if they think, wow, this could be something really nice. How does that work? Or what you're going to give them is evidence that it already works. You can use a screenshot, or basically you drop your solution, but then the traction slide is you're proving to the people that this is already working and it's already going to happen. So they will be part of it. So you prove that it's not just a good idea, but it's already there and it works. And traction means you have tractions business traction means like I will show you KPIs or validation from the market. So you always have traction, even if you just started your game with an idea. You can always put something on that traction slide, and I show you how. It's a bit small again, but I guess you can read it. So example for traction is if you have a great background as a founder, that shows that you're onto something, or you've done your market analysis, you have done customer interviews, you speak to people, you get great testimonials, you get positive feedback on your idea. All that backs your idea and gives evidence that it works. Then there are more quantitative KPIs, key performance indicators, showing that your business works. For example, you have already X waiting list signups, you have already so many downloads, press has covered you already, you have so many reviews, that kind of review, for example, 4.5 stars in average. How long do people already play your game? There is always something to put out that comes to market traction. But what it's not that you developed a game, because anyone can develop a game. That's pure production, purely production exercise. That's not market traction. Market traction are these KPIs above. So what you can do now is climb that traction ladder as high as possible. Maybe an example here how it could look. For example, on the left side, you have a screenshot of your solution or your game or your product or a mock-up. And then traction, we have already XXX waitlist signups, or we are in early access, and this is the feedback. And then you put good testimonials, or we have partnerships, social proof of any kind, whatever metrics you come up. I mean, they need to be true, but you can always back that what you're doing is going to look great. So you can now climb that traction ladder and pick for you the best traction points you can show off with and write them down. Can also be bullet points, but how would you sell that, so to say? If you're live yet, downloads. If you're not live yet, feedback, anything. That you were selected from Pro Helvetia because your idea is so innovative compared to all the other applicants. Has anyone found their most important traction points?
I think I did, but I'm not sure how this could be presented or used. Because, for example, my demo, I had it displayed at different conventions and got positive feedback. There was a good retention rate. Mostly everyone played until the end of the demo, even played twice. And this is all stuff I witnessed, but that has no real
Really?
ground.
You mean you witnessed it, but you don't have any like
Way to prove it, yeah.
Yes, okay. I mean, you can still write that. Just
Okay.
simply write very positive reviews on conference shows. I liked what you said. Many people played it twice. It's usually like bad games are not being played twice. So that shows a lot. If that actually happened, that's very worthy. Maybe you have a picture of the conference to back it a bit up.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can, I don't know if you did that, but did you collect any sign-ups, or did you measure anything, maybe newsletter lists where people could sign up or drop a business card in a pot, and then we would have like 50 business cards or something that you can measure it?
Yes.
Or did you have in your game some measurements, like that you get data from the players that they actually played it twice? When you say retention, it's usually a metric that you measure. It's a KPI that you see in your data, how many people play twice.
Yeah. No, I didn't build in any of these. I was a bit underprepared probably for these events because I got questions about Steam wishlist if they could do it, but I hadn't set up a page or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing I have, they just my visit card went away fast, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I think the simplest solution would be to mention very positive feedback and at large relevant trade shows, and maybe you can go back to one or two people you knew who played the game and ask for a testimonial, and then you can like put a picture, their avatar logo, and make a quote. You can go back to them and ask for a testimonial if you need one. I think it would even add more value. Yes, but this is perfectly fine at the stage you are. This is the kind of feedback you want, and this is the kind of traction evidence that makes sense for you. Positive feedback.
Great, thanks.
So that works perfectly. Cool, and then. Yeah, let's go to the last slide of the three most important ones. We are going to also build that. It's the simplest one. So it's the team. So if they see the team slide, it's the final thing they need to trust you, and then they want to work with you because all the rest looks fine. And yeah, some thoughts. That's very small. I will read it. Thoughts that you can ask for yourself. Who are the employees? Who are the founders? Are there any consultants, advisors? How can you make the team like look that all the skills required to build that game are in place? Are you lacking any roles, skills, or know-how? Can you fill that up with adding an advisory position to your team slide? Very important, what are the roles? If you're a solo developer, then I recommend you to go with founder, not CEO, founder. You're a solo developer. Other than that, if you're two or more people, the roles, they need to be very clear. It's not about the fancy title, but it's about that the responsibilities are set in place very correctly. Roles can change over time, but at any point in time, they need to the team needs to know their responsibilities. And if there is a team slide where 3 people are co-founders, yeah, that looks not very trustworthy, because most of the time they haven't spoken about who is going to tackle which responsibility, and the roles are not clear yet. So these roles, that your background is great, if you studied something, if you have a degree, if you built another company before, if you built another game before, if you worked at a cool gaming company before, this, and of course your name. So this is very simple. You can put that together now, or yeah, of course, later anyways. And don't forget to include us, the advisors or the mentors from Pro Helvetia. And yeah, that's very simple. And with this, you have a perfect, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, with this, you have a perfect skeleton of your pitch deck. And now we have 4 p.m. And what I still have is an 8-slide example deck. So not just the 3, but the 8 slides, a template, some pro tips, and a Q&A. And I would say now that we had exactly invested 1 hour, I ask you first if you have any questions. We can talk openly, answer questions, have a discussion. Otherwise, we still have enough additional content if your brains are not already smoking. By the way, here, pitch done. Congrats. Do you have any questions?
When you are pitching to many publishers, how do you keep your options open and stay in control once you start getting options?
What I would do is build a list of at least 100 potential publishers and investors, so 100 prospects plus. You research them, you already filter out the ones which don't fit anyway, so that you have 100 plus potential prospects. And then the best thing to do is to do like a fundraising sprint. So you contact them all at once at the same time, or in a very short time frame, like a sprint. You organize a sprint, and you keep yourself focused on doing fundraising, let's say 2 weeks, 1 month only, and you only focus on that. So you stop developing for a while, or you have other people in your team developing. So that if the first people, if the first publishers, investors get interested, then you can like tell the others that you're already talking to XYZ, and that they are also interested. Others are also looking at the opportunity, which is true because you talk to them, and you will find you can say that every time, because it's always true. It's not cheating or something like this, and this will make them very interested, or they think they miss out if they don't follow you. What I would not do is say specific names like XYZ is also interested. You don't say the name, but you say other people are also looking at the opportunity right now. And then what happens is that the ones which are most interested, they will push the discussion also further, because your main job is to build a great game, and fundraising is a necessity, but their main job is to find good startups or games. So if they don't also push the discussion a bit, something is not good. So what I would not do is follow up too many times if you don't get replies. You will feel if they are hot or not. And if they are, they usually push the discussion also. and then you simply send them the material they require, and then it will be fewer and fewer, and you end up having the best. And if it's a match, then if both of you find out it's a match, then why not committing to each other? So I would do it like this. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, perfectly. Thank you.
Cool. So I think doing a sprint is very important. Also, that in your head you're prepared to really do that properly, because it's a timing thing. If you interrupt yourself from it and you need to get into the fundraising thinking again and again, then you might be too slow, or it's a timing thing. So you really need to do just that for a while. Okay, maybe we can go through the pro tips, because some things what you ask is basically part of that. So be a bit more on the overall thing, not just the very pitch, but for example, the preparation documents you need. It's not just the pitch deck. So first of all, preparation is most important, because if you are very well prepared, then you have done 90% of your work and the pitch is there. So before you do your fundraising sprint, what you need to make sure is a company is properly set up, that the IP is owned by the company and not by the individuals, that you have proper contracts for all of you founders, consultants, that everything is professionally set up. Then you have this investor list, like 100 plus, can be more. The pitch deck, additional resources, sometimes they are required, like competitor analysis, a very, very deep one. You're going to do it anyways for your pitch. You need to know the size of the target audience, the shore, the market opportunity. So you can send them also in a later step if they require more information. P&L sheet, like that, you know for yourself, if you get the money, how will you spend it, how many people will you hire, where do you allocate the capital, and so on. No NDAs. No, that doesn't make any sense. You don't need to sign an NDA. And that you know about the terms that you want to go out with. So first you want to work with a publisher or investor, and what deal is a good deal for you. For example, if you need 100,000 Swiss francs that you need for yourself, what are you willing to offer them? How much percentage of the company do you want to sell? What is a publisher good deal, a good revenue split? And that you know your lowest benchmark, where you never will go under that, so that you know your borders. The valuation and deal terms, you don't put them on any document, and I tell you why later. Just know them for yourself before you go out. If you don't know it or not very sure yet, you can still talk to investors outside of your sprint. It's just that you say, I'm not raising yet, and I don't know the valuation yet. Where do you find these investors for the list of 100 plus? A good thing is warm interest, personal network. That's the best. Then list building is just an internet research. That's works very well. And then you need to do cold outreach. So once you contact them, that's cold outreach. So they don't know you before. But LinkedIn works very well for that. In my experience, it's very simple. Just drop them a LinkedIn message, a very short, maybe 3 lines. And if they're interested, you can set up a meeting, or a personal email address. But what doesn't work not so well, in my experience, is like these info email addresses you find on the publisher website. That's very anonymous. Online forms, if a publisher on their website has a form like pitch your game, submit your info here, that's I don't think that's a good way to do it, because it's so not personal. Same thing with conferences. If you go to large pitching shows, maybe in a pitching competition, it's really hard to. It can work, but it's a shotgun method. Ideally, you nail them down to one-on-one meetings. So the more focused and the more personal that pitch is, usually the better the outcome is. Then, as already said, because you asked the question, how would you properly start reaching out and filter them? Build a list, and then you create momentum. This company is already interested, and so on. Follow up, simple, send them the materials required. Sometimes they are looking for excuses not to invest, and if a good signal to filter them out is if they require too much information and they want to see all. If they dig so deep that you think, oh, that's annoying, I would focus on the investors where there is less resistance. Sometimes if they're looking for excuses to not invest, they require you to send more documents, and then something is wrong anyways, and then they can leave. Where there is least resistance, that's usually the best ones. Yes, I already mentioned that. Something about how to practice live pitches if you're on stage. This can be also a setup, not just the one-on-one meetings, but if you're on stage and do a pitch. I did quite a few of those, and what works is for 1 to 10 minutes, you actually you need to practice them until you can do them by heart. Sounds stupid that you should not learn them by heart, but you learn you practice so much that in the end you can do it by heart. It's necessary for the one to really nail the very short 1 to 10 minute pitches. If you're in that situation, you block half a day of time and you record yourself. And this helped me a lot, because what I do, and it really helps, if you record yourself and then practice the pitch and you exaggerate your performance, you talk too loud, like a salesperson, too loud with too much energy, too much gestures. If you do that, it looks very silly on the video, but only you see it, and you exaggerate, because what happens is, first of all, it gives you energy, and secondly, it opens you up. So you are not so scared anymore to actually do it. But what will happen when you enter a live pitch in front of an audience, you will automatically, if you're used to that exaggeration, you will automatically fall back because you're nervous. And then you will fall back on a level where it's perfect. It's still powerful. Of course, it's not silly, but it's still powerful. And being open and talking very naturally will be effortless somehow. It will feel easy. So that really works. It's a mind hack trick. When you're nervous on a live pitch on stage, 3 tips. Remind yourself what the goal of the pitch is. It's not to impress anyone. It's just to do your findings and learn from the audience if they are a good fit for you or not. You can talk to people in the audience in advance of your pitch, so that eases you up. You will notice that some people in the audience are anyways already fan of what you do, and this is very different when you then go on stage and you know that, and you spoke to people already. And also, if you've done the preparation, anyways, you cannot fail, because the 1 to 10 minute pitch is is a small part, and the preparation is the biggest part. And if you prepare well, then usually you're more prepared to pitch than the listeners are prepared to listen to you. If you go on stage and look in the audience, you look at them and you observe them instead of looking away. You see people on their smartphones doing other things, worrying about other things. So that's totally normal, and yeah, that removes the pressure. And also, I do that a lot. Being nervous is a feeling. Feelings are just feelings, and they are here to be felt. And if they are felt, they go away. If you push them away, they get bigger. So yes, you can actively enjoy the feeling of being nervous. And you know that situations where you're nervous usually bring you further in life. So if you are nervous before a live pitch, that's really cool. You should enjoy that. And that's the only way to do so that in your next pitch, you're less nervous when you do it again and again, because the feeling goes away if you enjoy it. So, yes. And finally, good deal terms. That's the last part of a pitch, or actually making or closing a deal. How do you come up with good terms? Very simply, I don't know if you know what discounted cash flows are, but the easiest thing to get your terms together, I mean, how much should I give away for my company? What is a good revenue split? The easiest thing to do is to ask your friends what they get and research benchmark what other companies get, other games get at that stage with that experience in this type of market, and you benchmark that, and that's it. That's the easiest way, because in reality you can do as much calculations as you want. In reality, if we're in a bear market, then everything crashes down and valuations go down. And if you do the benchmarking, you're always in the right position. Yes, this is also, I already teased it. Don't put the deal terms on any document, and also not on the pitch deck. On the pitch deck, you put the ask, how much you want, how much money or whatever you want, but not what you're giving away for that. So not the deal terms, because that would give also a valuation about the company, how much the company is worth. For example, if you sell 10% of the company for 100,000 Swiss francs, then your company is worth 1 million. And it is illegal to present a valuation in a public pitch. So it's actually not legal to do that. And also, you want to save the deal terms for the private discussions, because it should the last thing to talk about with the investors publishers who are really interested. So you only open up if you're already in the last step of the negotiations. If you need to negotiate down, if they want to give you worse terms for what you actually wanted, if you still want to do it, then just argue it the correct way, instead of saying something like, okay, now this is less than what we planned, or blah, blah, blah. Instead of putting it on your own fault, you highlight the additional value that they have. So you say something like, okay, our valuation is XYZ, but we think that you are such an incredible investor. We want to have you on board because of blah, blah, blah. You can help us with not just money, but more than that. And that's why it's a good thing. We want to work together. So that was it. Yes. We can also do things like this individually if you want to drill deeper on your one-liner, for example. If you have any questions, send me an email. We still have time for questions. So You're muted. I don't hear you. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Florin. This was really interesting, and I think many new points that you mentioned that maybe for talented newcomers are really new and will help them to find their way in the professional game development. So now it's the last chance today to ask questions, and I think you should benefit or not. If you don't have a question right now, as Florin mentioned already before, you have his email address here. So thank you also that you are available afterwards if there are some questions coming up. Can you switch to the next slide, please? Are there any questions right now, or are you all tired after this exhaustive presentation? Leo?
Yeah, I do actually have one. Is it really a must to have your company being a company, basically? Because it costs, if I'm correct, 20Ks or even 50Ks to create the legal entity, and that's a huge investment. Is this really a must before you go pitching your game to publishers to have this done?
I think so, yes, because you need to make a deal between publisher investor and your company. And let me think quickly. Yeah, technically, as a one single individual, you are already a company and you're self-employed. But I think that I've never seen a situation where that works, because you want to hire people, you want the IP to be on the company and not on you as a person. So yes. So 20K is the GmbH. What I did recently is I incorporated a company in the US, which is not 20K to set up, but not 20,000 Swiss francs for the incorporation or starting capital, but $100. So that's very easy to set up and literally easy. Also, the process is easy. You don't need to go to any offices. You just do it online with an online tool. I use Clerky. Clerky. One second. Clerky.com. And also it is one of the most recognized corporation forms in the world for startups. You can set up a C corporation, that's like the AG in Switzerland. So AG would even be 100,000. And you can have basically an AG in the US for $100. And investors love it. I mean, it works, and it's the most internationally the best format. If you want to do it in Switzerland, I would say yes, you have to set up a company. You can talk to publishers and investors without having that yet, and you can talk to them and see if there is interest from them to do that. If you find a good publisher, investor, or a partner, and both of you are very serious to work together, and you get a good feeling and trust, if you're already in a discussion, then it's easier to invest 20,000 to set it up, because you know the next day it's already agreed that they will do the deal, they will wire the money. So that lowers the borders to actually invest the 20K.
Okay, thanks. Good to know.
Can I add something really quick here?
Yes.
Because as far as I know, if you want to create a GmbH in Switzerland, you can also, it's called Einlagen in German. If you have a car or if you have like an expensive laptop, you can actually like use that as part of those 20K. Yeah, just as an information, if that helps at all.
Yes, thanks.
And maybe one more information regarding legal subjects and also the creation of a company. We do have at least one workshop per year with a legal firm, law firm, Keller Alscara, which are one of the biggest law firms in Switzerland. And there we also discuss what it takes to create a company, what you need to respect, and what are most suited forms. So I recommend that you also check on our agenda when there is the next AMA and also the next workshop. And also what we have as for members of the SGDA, you also have access to those lawyers to get free consultation. So maybe this would also be something of interest for you when you're at this point of founding your company.
Definitely, yes. Thanks for the information.
Are there any other questions? Do you have some final information, Florin, to share with our mentees?
Yeah, just to again highlight the importance of presenting the business opportunity, and not just that you do a game that is unique, because that's not a business yet. That you flip it into a business pitch. And I think that the one-liner is very important. If you can, in one sentence, formulate the business opportunity, what you do, you have the best pitch. And also for you, for yourself, it's very motivating, because you can formulate what you do in one sentence. You always know what you do and you're on track, and you have found a problem that you want to solve, and not just build a game, but solve a problem. I think there is a lot of depth in that, but a lot of the success lies in this one sentence if you pitch.
Very good.
And the rest is you can worry about so many things on the pitch deck. The rest is, I would say, if that one sentence is in place, then the rest is falls together anyways, because everything is built on that one hypothesis, and the rest is almost cosmetics.
Great. That's a great conclusion also of your webinar. Final call for questions. Otherwise, we would close the meeting, and I will also stop the recording, and maybe you can stay for a second. But thank you very much for attending today's webinar. Thank you very much, Florin, for this great presentation. Thank you for the mentees to be here, and maybe you have now the ideas also to create quite quickly a first draft of your personal pitching deck. And yeah, why not presenting it then at our final event? This gives you also some goals to work on it, and I'm looking forward to see what you are drafting the next couple of months.